Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, I want to delve deeper into the Create Diesel Generators mod. So we are gonna take a look at how to extract crude oil using Pumpjacks, how to process that crude oil into gasoline and diesel using refinery, also how to produce biodiesel, which is a renewable source of power, and then all of the different types of engines like the diesel engine, the modular engine, and my favorite one, the huge diesel engine that the mod has to offer. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's start by looking for crude oil in this world. So how oil works in this mod is it is present inside chunks, and that too not in physical form but in the form of values. So I'm going to show the chunk borders using F3 plus G, and in order to look for oil we need oil detector. Right clicking with the oil detector in any chunk will show the status of that chunk, and if oil is present then the message will appear. So in this world I was able to locate oil in this village, and that too at a very convenient location right here. So now we can build our pump jack. So the first block for Pumpjack is the Pumpjack hole, which needs a connection to bedrock. Now in creative, of course, I can place down a bedrock block and place the Pumpjack hole on top of it, but this won't really work in survival. So what you need to do is dig a hole all the way down to bedrock and then connect bedrock to some fluid pipes, bring those pipes up, and then connect the Pumpjack hole to the pipe. So here we have the bedrock. Now placing down the fluid pipes and bringing them all the way to the top. And finally, we can place down our Pumpjack hole and the error message should disappear. Next up, come back by 3 blocks, and on the 4th one, place down steel scaffolds or basically any scaffolding of your choice and the Pumpjack bearing. So the first Pumpjack we are going to make is the smaller version. Now 2 metal girders in the front, 3 in the back like this, and then we place down a Pumpjack bearing and right clicking it with the wrench will convert it like this. Now in the front, place down another block of your choice, and then we are going to place down our pump jack head, and with this the pump jack is actually complete. So to glue it all up, we are going to use super glue from the front to back like this, and that will connect the structure, and placing down a pump jack crank right below will basically complete the structure like this by right clicking with an empty hand on the bearing. Now you can change the pump jack crank size to basically large. So for this we need basically one more scaffolding, and this one will be the large pump jack. The process of building it is the same, just the size is more, and also it pumps out more crude oil per second. So we can also experiment by adding more blocks. Just remember to glue it all up like this. So here I have a hammer design, and right clicking it once again with an empty hand will connect it, and as soon as you start supplying it with power, this will start pumping out crude oil if you have connected it to any storage inventory. So as you can see, inside this chunk we have 94,480 buckets of crude oil. Now that is a lot of crude oil that we have here, and I'm going to connect it to a tank. And the larger pump jack, it pumps out 200 millibuckets every operation, and the smaller one pumps out 100 millibuckets per operation. And crude oil can be used in a lot of things. You can check using JEI. So now we switch to the refinery. So to make the refinery, the smallest one, on top of a blaze burner, place down 3 tanks, and on the bottom tank, place down a distillation controller. Using the wrench, you can also make the refinery transparent, and you can see that it is divided into 2 parts actually. One is for gasoline and one is for diesel. Same goes for a 2x2, which will just increase the capacity, and you can also make a 3x3, which will increase the capacity even further to 4,500 millibuckets. The operation rates should actually remain the same. So here I am going with the most basic refinery of 1x3, and as soon as I start pumping in some crude oil and make sure the blaze burner is running, the operation will happen, and 100 millibuckets of crude oil will be converted into 50 millibuckets of gasoline and 50 millibuckets of diesel. So this is how a refinery will work, and you can pump these liquids out and store them in their individual tanks. So diesel and gasoline will be your primary fuel sources, but you can also make your own fuel in the form of biodiesel. So to make biodiesel, first we need ethanol, and for ethanol we need to pump biomass along with apple, sugarcane, anything like this inside a basin with a lid on it, and as soon as you have the lid on with these items, operation will happen slowly and we will produce ethanol. Now along with ethanol we also need some plant oil, and plant oil will be made by pressing seeds using the mechanical presser. Any seed will work here, and here we will produce plant oil. Now plant oil and ethanol needs to be combined, and this will happen inside another basin. And yeah, once the basin has a mixer on top of it, plant oil and ethanol will combine into biodiesel. But I prefer the method of using immersive engineering, as it is much easier to control and you can produce biodiesel much faster. Also, you have the garden cloche. Let's take a look at all of the engines now. So first we have the basic diesel engine, which when placed horizontally won't accept fuel from the top but will accept it from the bottom. Now different fuels have different values, so I am going to test out 5 different fuels available for the engines. So first one, of course, we have the diesel, and diesel is a very good fuel. It gives 3072 stress units at 96 rpm with the normal diesel engine. Also with this diesel engine you can put on a silencer to save your ears, and if you want you can put a turbocharger which will increase the speed but won't have any effect on the stress unit. So of course the silencer is the better option here. Now with gasoline we get 2048 stress units. With biodiesel the value remains the same, 2048. Ethanol gives 1024 stress units. And finally we have plant oil. Plant oil will give 2048 stress units at 74 rpm. Next we take a look at the modular diesel engine. Now this one is pretty good as it produces a lot of power, or basically you can combine it to produce more power. It's like the normal diesel engine, but it can be combined. If you supply fuel to only one of the engine, the fuel will be distributed in all three. And here you can see a single unit is producing 4096 stress units, and that's why we are getting a net output on the stressometer. So the more engines you have, for example I have 5 here, we will get 20,480, which is 4096 times 5. Also applying a silencer to one of them silences the entire engine. So with gasoline we are going to get yes, a little less, and with biodiesel 2048 stress units. Ethanol gives 1280 stress units, and finally we have plant oil which gives 25,060 stress units. So these are all of the values for the modular diesel engine, a single one of them. And finally we have the huge diesel engine. Now this one only works with diesel or biodiesel. It won't take any other fuel. Using a wrench you can set any side to accept a fluid pipe like this. And here I am going with diesel first. And as soon as you have diesel, also you need a shaft in either a vertical or a horizontal formation. And you have a shaft, you provide it with fuel, and it will start running and produce a lot of stress units. Like a single engine here is producing 10,240 stress units, which is a lot actually. And the best part about this is it can be expanded very easily. So on a single shaft you can have 2 engines like this, and now we will get the net output of 2 engines, which is 20,480 stress units. Also all of the engines that I showed before and here can be controlled via redstone. So you can turn off any system like this, and on a single shaft of course you can have engines facing the front, and not to forget that we can also use the vertical direction. So on a shaft you can have up to 4 engines in total, and that will give you a net output or net high output depending on which fuel that you are using. So here I have 4 engines on a single shaft in the both horizontal and vertical direction. This is the design that I'm going to use for my diesel electric power plant, by the way. And for the fuel I'm going with biodiesel this time, which gives us a nice 8,192 stress units per engine, which is a little bit less than diesel, but hey, biodiesel can be produced, and that too at a very fast rate. So yeah, 32,768 stress units for 4 engines, and you can expand this design very easily like this. And yeah, set the fuel lines using wrenches, and have a perfectly stretched out system which can produce electricity using the create new edge mod. So here we have close to 100,000 stress units provided by 12 huge diesel engines. So yeah, these were just some of the possibilities that you can do with this mod. I am actually starting to love this mod, and I will be sure to make more videos on it like the power plant that I said. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. Peace out my guys, stay safe.